Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Fitzpatrick. I'm a managing director with Accenture. As Chad and Mark mentioned, we're one of the sponsors for Incubate Miami. We're proud to be a sponsor, and well, you could tell I'm a little overdressed. Maybe it's my corporate lineage. Accenture, if you know some of the history, we're an entrepreneurial company of sorts. I started about 21 years ago, and we were only about 36,000 people, and we've grown to well over 270,000 people globally now. The reason I'm here and the reason that we're interested in this is Accenture believes strongly that it's important for our people to give back to our communities where we live and work. And as such, we've got a major program that we fund throughout the U.S. that's called Corporate Citizenship and Skills to Succeed. Incubate Miami represents a relationship where we're at the top end of what I will say the leverage model in our Skills to Succeed program. Effectively, what we can do is rather than just train individuals, and it's everything from job skills training where someone learns how to write a resume and go out and get a job to teaching groups of people or companies to do better. But when we're involved with incubators across the U.S. and specifically here with Incubate Miami, it really represents our ability to have a first mover advantage where we can help these companies become successful and ultimately those companies grow and create more and more jobs. So we're delighted to be a part of this. We're very excited and look forward to continued years of relationship with Incubate Miami. Without further ado, I do want to turn it over to our last company for today. So RentJiffy is a solution that's helping income rental property owners manage their properties. And with that, let me turn it over to Jonathan Addison.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan Addison, and I'm the founder of RentJiffy. What we do is, as they said, we simplify rental property management for small landlords into an easy-to-use cloud-based solution. The story of RentJiffy actually starts in Washington, D.C. You see, I've been a practicing real estate agent in Washington, D.C. for the last 11 years. I've always enjoyed helping my clients, but more importantly, going above and beyond. That included getting a required rental property license when they wanted to rent out their property. Well, funny thing is, I apparently was a little too good at it. I made it a little too easy, so I started having non-clients, realtors, and property managers calling me, asking me, can you do the same thing for us? Figured, okay, why not, let's go for it. Started getting flooded with phone calls and emails. Not a great situation. So about 3 years ago, I founded RentJiffy as an online solution so anyone could go online, make application, and apply for the license there. It streamlined it for them, as well as it streamlined it for me, because Lord knows there's a lot of paperwork involved. So it's been wildly successful. In those 3 years, I've also learned a lot about landlords, specifically small landlords, which are ones that own 1 to 5 properties. Constantly, we started getting emails, John, how do we run a tenant credit check? Where do we get a proper lease from? How do we do this? How do we do that? Suddenly I realized there's a lot more headaches than a rental property license that are involved here. Anyone in the room who either is a landlord or has been a landlord probably understands the headaches I'm alluding to. For those of you who aren't, let me paint a picture for you. You have your small landlord. They acquire their property. At that point, they start having to act as marketer. They got to act as transaction manager, monthly rent collector, repair coordinator, because something's always going to break down, monthly accountant, as well as end-of-year accounting, all while being a legal know-it-all. After all, there's a lot of legal pitfalls in renting real estate in the United States. I can tell you professionally, it's a lot of time, energy, stress, but most importantly, risk, if not executed properly. Case in point, meet Glenn. Glenn was an original customer of RentJiffy about 3 years ago. Great guy. He has a wonderful family, his 15-year-plus government consulting career, and I think like most everybody in the room, he prefers to be on vacation rather than working or doing anything. He also owns 2 rental properties. Glenn's rental process, as he would so eloquently refer to it, is organized chaos. He needs a better system to be able to manage his properties. But when Glenn came to me, that wasn't his biggest problem. His biggest problem was the fact that in his organized, chaotic process, he never ran a tenant credit check. He didn't know that his tenant had low credit scores. Had he have run the report, he would have also known that his tenant had previous evictions. Not a good combination. Well, that came to a head when his tenant, after a few months of being late on rent, finally was behind on rent by 3 months. So Glenn thought, all right, I'm done with this. Let's get him evicted, get a brand new tenant. So he went to landlord-tenant court. When he thought he was going to get a judgment in his favor, and perhaps get even some money back, he started realizing he had bigger issues than that. He didn't have the rental property license at that point. In addition, his lease that he bought at Staples was not quite such a good lease. It was boilerplate, but it didn't cover the local jurisdictional requirements. Finally, the property he was renting was built before 1979, which required lead-based paint disclosure. 3 not so good things when you go to landlord-tenant court. Instead of getting a judgment in his favor, he paid out $4,500, $2,000 in fines, and $2,500 in order to get his tenant to move out of the property. Couple that with the 3 months of rent that he lost, he had a total loss of 5 months worth of rent, which I think anybody would agree sucks. By the way, that is an industry term. Ladies and gentlemen, so it was at that point I suddenly started looking around because Glenn wasn't my only client. I started looking around to see were there competitors who offered a product that they could manage the process on their own. Most of them were geared towards brokers, which God love those products. It's helped me greatly. So doesn't do much for the small landlord. There was one or two that said they were geared towards the small landlord, but again, it was someone who had certain knowledge, certain abilities, not your everyday landlord. That's when I realized it was time to evolve RentJiffy, because there was no way I could walk every single customer through what I walked Glenn and so many other customers through. And so what I've done is evolved RentJiffy into a beginning-to-end management solution that connects the dots. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the future of self-management. It's intuitive, it's easy to use. More importantly, a landlord can organize, manage, and track not only their properties, their tenants, their service requests in one place. Even better, we have add-on features. These add-on features suddenly give the resources of large property management firms to small landlords in a single click. Even better, come on. Even better, we've made it so they can access it from any internet-capable device, whether it be PC, tablet, or smartphone. And we're giving them this peace of mind starting at $30 a month. That's incredibly reasonable, especially when you start talking about their options otherwise are going to a property manager, which will cost them upwards of about 2.5 times their monthly rent. We're not just a brilliant idea. I mentioned I've been around for 3 years, so I know a little bit here. In those 3 years, we've had 100% year-over-year growth, and today, as of today, we actually have $615,000 in revenue as a company. So we've done very well, actually. Because of our longevity, we also know our customer. We know our average customer holds onto their properties for about 5 years. In terms of long-term value to us as a company, it's exceptional. An investment of about $6,500 will get us 1,000 customers. Those 1,000 customers will get us $1.8 to almost $4 million in revenue over their lifespan. So you're probably asking, how are we going to get to these customers and how many are there? That's a very nice national map, and no, we're not about to do a costly national rollout. It's not economical, doesn't make sense. What we're actually going to do is focus on 11 primary markets. These are metropolitan statistical areas. By focusing on these 11, we can reach 40% of the total marketplace. That allows us to do this economically, targeted, and get better return for our dollar. So now we have how many? There are 12 million small landlords in the United States, and collectively they own 41 million properties. This also gives a total marketplace of about $28 billion. With launching the new features, with expanding into the market, we're poised to continue our successful growth, keeping in the same way we've done. That allows us to be a multi-million-dollar company within a very short time frame. This is going to be brought to you by myself. Obviously, you've gotten to know me a little bit so far. Again, I'm an 11-year real estate agent. I sold over $200 million in property. I've assisted in the management of over $300 million. I know this space. Even better, I've grown RentJiffy from an investment of $75,000 to the $600,000 in revenue that it has today. I'm complimented by my very good friend and creative director, Brian Curley. He knows all things web. He's been trusted by Burger King, Gallo Wines, and Cartier to even work on their own digital marketing strategies. So this is where we are today. It's RentJiffy 1.0, and this is where we were in the beginning. We're launching 2.0 in January. This will expand the rental property licensing from just the city of Washington, D.C., where our sales have been, to 13 jurisdictions. We'll also be introducing 2 new features, which is the home warranty product and tenant credit checks. To begin development forward, we're looking for $500,000 in investment. That's going to allow us to continue our development, fully put everything into place, do that expansion into the 11 marketplaces, and of course by hiring employees to do it all. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my absolute pleasure to introduce you to RentJiffy. It's been my pride and joy for the last 3 years. I have enjoyed helping people, and I'm not going to lie, I've been handsomely rewarded for it. As we look forward, we're poised for growth, and if that looks like an opportunity that looks perfect for you, please come and see me after. I'd love to chat with you. Thank you.